realized that my computer is not wanting to work. So I had to restart it. So I'm a little behind. Normally when I do lives, I don't use the backdrop because as you can see, it's not really long enough, but I just left it there. I feel like my camera's a little, I don't know. All right, so last night, the Teen Mom OG Part 2 reunion aired. And I have to say, it did not give me as much anxiety as Part 1. Part 1, I was literally screaming at my TV half the time. Part 2 picked up. I'm going to do a recap and then we'll kind of discuss it. I'm live on my phone, so unfortunately I'm not going to be able to pop people's comments up. If I could, I would, but I used my phone because Sean, I thought he was going to need the other computer where I normally do like StreamYards and everything. Yeah, StreamYard. But at the last minute, he got called by my dad to go help my dad do something. So I was like, I'm not moving everything. All right, let's see. Okay, so I will be reading comments as well. I'm gonna do the recap first, and then like I'll kind of give my thoughts, read comments, and see what you guys got to say about the reunion and how that played out. To my members, channel members, Patreon members, I have started doing this thing because I feel so bad. Here lately, I have not really been giving my members as much as I need to. And usually I would do lives at the, at night, like after the kids would go to sleep. But really, I've just been so exhausted. Every night by like 8:30, 9 o'clock, I haven't been going live at night. But what I'm going to start doing is for channel members, every video that I put out, it will be put out to them first for a few hours, maybe the day before, or I'll release it the next day for everyone else. But I appreciate every one of you guys, even if you're not a member. I love you just the same. But we do have the Patreon member option and the channel member option. And I only feel that it is right to do a little extra for them. So I will be doing that from this point on. When I release a video, it will go out to channel and Patreon members first, and then a few hours later, maybe the next day, kind of depending on what's going on, I'll release it to everyone else. So we're going to get into the reunion. We have 104 people watching. If you don't mind, give this video a quick thumbs up, and we'll get started. And good morning, everyone. What time is it? Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Okay, so it picks up. I have notes again. Last time I had 4 pages. This time I only have 3. Oh, really quick, I do want to touch as well. Wildflower Tea was supposed to be here with me today. That was something that we discussed last week, is that, she would come back. Unfortunately, she had a family, she had a death in the family, and my prayers are with her. You guys just lift her up because her family is going to be going through it for the next while, dealing with this. I feel so bad. But when we can have her back, we will. And we'll cover, possibly maybe Teen Mom 2 or whatever's airing at the time that she can come back. So you guys just keep her in your thoughts and your prayers. Lift her family up because they are going through it right now. Okay, so the Teen Mom OG reunion part 2 picks up with Taylor and Larry. It gives us a little bit of what was already showed on part 1. And the guys sit back down. But one thing that I noticed was that Larry was the first one to kind of scoot forward, and he was the first one to stand up. But Jen was quick to start telling Taylor, you need to sit down. Like, no, what did she say? You need to back up. You need to back up. You need to back up. But Taylor was not the first one to buck up. It definitely was Larry. So Taylor tells Larry that Ryan has never been there for Bentley, and he brings up the fact that they guilt trip Bentley. And I think I see that happen with my older kids and their side of the family, specifically their dad's mom. She would do the same thing. So it is a thing. I don't think they realize they're doing it. But he said that. He said, y'all guilt trip Bentley into doing things. And Jim was no, we don't. We do not guilt trip him. And he actually said, he said, when it was Bentley's birthday party and Bentley... You asked Bentley, we can't have a birthday party without your dad. It's Bentley's birthday party. So you can, like whatever Bentley wants, yes, you can do it. Because you are guilt tripping Bentley into having a birthday party. and inviting his dad. If he doesn't feel comfortable enough to have his dad at his own birthday party, then he should not be forced to do that just for his dad's feelings. Because what about Bentley's feelings? And that was something that we didn't see on the show, Bentley having a birthday party, where that came up. Maybe Bentley not wanting him there. And Jen saying, well, we can't have this party without your dad. Good morning, Meow Now. So that was one thing that they brought up. Also, in regards to the audio of Ryan making the threat, they was saying when it left off, do you want us to play it for you? And they didn't, unfortunately. I had high hopes. I was like, play it, so all the world can see, and so Larry and Jen can see that he did say it. I never questioned whether or not Ryan made those comments, but Macy ended up saying that they played it in court in front of the judge, that was how she got the restraining order, was because the judge heard it, and that Ryan didn't deny it. That when they were in court, Ryan did not deny it. He pled guilty, and he took a plea deal. The plea deal was, the restraining order and some stipulations with the restraining order. I'm assuming, I don't really know, but according to Macy and Taylor, they said we played it for the judge. That's why we got the RO, and Ryan didn't deny it. So hearing that, and then going back to the episode where Ryan said they lied to get the restraining order. So if they lied to get that, what would they lie about in the future? Or will they lie again to get another one? So I'm not going to talk to Macy. So now we know for sure that Ryan was clearly not telling the truth there. Right, they played it for the judge, which I think was, Macy said something, she said, do you think a judge would have given me an RO if we didn't have some sort of proof? And some judges are more lenient. I really think it depends on where you live. Some judges will give an RO pretty easily, but some won't. Some judges will not give an RO. You have to have proof that there has been a valid threat there, and she clearly had that. Dr. Drew, well, when Taylor and Macy walk off, Jen kind of laughs, like, this is so ridiculous. And it is ridiculous. And one thing that they're not understanding is Taylor is upset from dealing with all this. Taylor's been in the picture how many years? And he's remained quiet, but now he's not. Like, he's finally fed up with it. After they walk off, Dr. Drew says, he validates Taylor's feelings. He says, can you guys kind of see why Taylor's upset? Like, after watching the season and seeing the things that Ryan said about Macy, Taylor's wife, can you guys understand why he's upset? And they're like, no. Jen says, is he upset or is he jealous of Ryan? And I almost fell out of my chair and had 3 heart attacks, because I was like, I can't stand that. I cannot stand when someone that has nothing going for them, when someone that is hated by the masses or disliked by the masses and had all kind of trouble, when they say, or some of their family members say, that someone is jealous of them, it makes absolutely no sense. So I'm like, what in Jen's mind does she think Taylor has to be jealous over? Taylor is living in a very nice home in a very nice subdivision. They have their own business. Him and Macy's relationship seems to be going fine. There's never been any cheating allegations as far as I know. When Macy was out of town, shopping for her wedding dress, Taylor was not off sending pics to randoms on, what was it? Tinder? Was it Tinder? I do not believe. My alarm is set in my phone, so that's going to keep showing up. So Taylor has never been arrested, to my knowledge. When Taylor's children are having birthday parties, he is there in attendance. A lot of times he helps plan the parties. He even throws surprise parties for Macy and the kids. We saw a surprise party for Macy. He helps plan. He attends. He's not 30 minutes late, only watching, them unwrap presents and then going off to the bedroom. I'm not sure what Jen would think that Taylor would be. It's not the hair either. He's not jealous of the hair either. Like, what is it? To me, Taylor's like very good looking. Ryan, at one point Ryan was decent looking, but he's damaged that. Like, he doesn't care to do better. He doesn't care to look better. So, he's We don't know if he's sober or not. We don't know. We're not sure. And okay, I'm so sorry. Someone called my phone. Sean always tells me, he's like, you need to you need to forward your calls, and I never do. Y'all give me just a second to try to fix this. Uh, where's the alarm so I can take the alarm off? Let's take the alarm. I get very upset when things don't go well as far as my channel because I'm like a perfectionist. So then when things get like messed up, am I blurry to anyone? If I'm blurry, just put in the comments that I'm a little blurry. Hopefully it'll work itself out. But I knew I should have went live on the computer. Okay, so the fact that she would say that he's jealous, Taylor has a great life. You know, him and Macy may have problems, but there's never been any cheating allegations. He has great relationships with not only his children, not only does Taylor have great relationships with his own children, but he also has a great relationship with his stepson, Bentley. If it's blurry, you guys, go out and maybe come back in. On my end, it's blurry as well, so I'm going to go out and come back in. Let's see if it fixes it. Not really. This may be the second Teen Mom OG reunion that I don't leave up. If it continues to be blurry and I keep having calls come in. So I was very happy that Dr. Drew validated Taylor's feelings though when he was like, do you guys understand? Like, you guys see why Taylor would be upset? But they're like, no, we do not see why he would be upset. Is he upset or is he jealous? And then Dr. Drew says, no, before you guys came out, he was saying why he was upset. He was talking about that. He was saying, you know, that watching the things that Ryan said about Macy was upsetting to him. He voiced that. And then Jen said, things that Ryan said now are 10 years ago. And Dr. Drew says, no, this season, recently. He said things this season. Now I have a hair like tickling my cheek. So they say that they were not sure. They're like, we don't know. We didn't see it. Apparently they don't watch the show, according to them. So when Dr. Drew says no, he said things this season that was very disturbing in regards to Mackenzie. Like Macy, sorry. He said very rude and mean things about Macy. And Taylor has, understandably so, he is upset. And they said, do you think that Macy and Taylor don't talk about us or talk about Ryan? Trying to justify it like, oh, well, we have a right to be upset too because they talk bad about us. Well, we don't really see that on the show though, because what we do see on the show is Ryan openly calling Macy a bitch every week, Mackenzie calling Macy a spiteful bitch, and then we see Larry and Jen talking about how they're putting things into Bentley's mind and they're manipulating Bentley, while Macy and Taylor, they're just sitting over there saying, we're doing what we can do. If you want to go see them, go see them. If you don't, we support that. We don't see it on the show. Now, is it happening? That's very possible, but we're not seeing that. So maybe Ryan shouldn't say it on the show, which now he's not going to have the opportunity. Terry Lynn Williams says they need to fix their own man-child. Taylor said everything we have all been thinking. Proud Macy stood up too. They act like they really didn't see Ryan's word, see the words Ryan called her. Like, really, y'all blind? Exactly. Either they don't watch the show or they saw it, but they don't want to admit that they witnessed that. As a mom and dad to a grown man who is calling his baby mama a spiteful and an evil bitch, how do you sit on television and acknowledge that? They should have. That would have been the right thing. They should have. They should have said, we saw it and we don't agree with it and we understand. How would Larry feel if someone was calling Jen those names on TV every week? Would he be okay with that? He wouldn't. Thank you, Terry Lynn, for the super chat. Also, I used to use PayPal. Something happened with that. I don't, so I do have a Cash App. If anyone wants to Cash App, my mods do have the Cash App tag. Don't feel pressure to. I usually always put my information out there, and people do send PayPal sometimes, but don't feel obligated to. You can't send a PayPal, but you can send a Cash App thing. Right, Ryan says things around them as well. So the fact that they would act like we don't understand what they're saying, and then say, well, they say stuff too. They also say that they have swallowed some crow, because Dr. Drew says, you know, it looks like they put up with a lot, and they said, well, we have swallowed some crow too. Thing is you need something from them. Taylor and Macy need nothing from the Edwards family, nothing at all. They don't need anything from them. They need Macy to allow them to see Bentley. That's what they need. Macy could be a real butthole and say, take me to court. Take me to court if you want to see Bentley, because I'm done with it. Terry Lynn says, Larry just not too long ago did say and call his man child words and say some pretty nasty crap about him. Wouldn't pee on him if he was on fire. Exactly. At one of the reunions a couple years ago, when Ryan was struggling with his addiction, and we didn't necessarily know, but they did. At a reunion, Larry said that. He said that he was done with Ryan, and he would not pee on Ryan if Ryan was on fire. So you, as Ryan's own father, you have got that bothered by your son, but you don't think that anyone else has? You don't think the woman that has had to deal with him for the past 12 years and try to raise a child with him has gotten to the level of feeling that way, but yet she hasn't said it. Now, you know, she hasn't said anything up until this point. So, yeah, so I feel like the grandparents, Larry and Jen, they may have to swallow some crow every once in a while because they need to see Bentley. They want to see Bentley, right? Macy does not have to allow that. Macy doesn't need to swallow anything at all. Macy doesn't need to overlook anything because she's not the one that needs them for anything. It would be nice if they could just be nice and be cordial and be civil and do what's right. And I honestly believe that Larry and Jen and Macy and Taylor could if Ryan was nowhere in the mix. If Ryan was nowhere in the mix and Ryan was like, I'm done, I'm just going to be over here minding my own business, and it was just Larry and Jen having their, you know, grandparent situation with Bentley, I think that they could. I think the reason they can't is because they're too concerned with Ryan now and hurting Ryan's feelings. So I think as long as they want to see him, they may need to eat some crow every once in a while, you know? Which I don't know what crow they've really eaten. Can anybody think of any situation that we've seen where they've had to swallow anything in regards to Macy and Taylor? Not really. Jen did ask after they left, she was like, can they come in, sit down, be adults, and tell us why they're upset with Ryan? Can they? So it seems like maybe she did want to really know. Like, can they just come in and tell us? I have a hard time believing that they did not know. But when I was watching that, I was like, you know, this would be the perfect time for them to come back, sit down, and maybe if they could just, if Macy, because I don't think they want to hear anything that Taylor's got to say. They feel some type of way about Taylor. So maybe if Macy could just say, listen, we've dealt with a lot. Y'all know we've dealt with a lot. Not ever have we had to give Ryan anything, but we have. Not ever have we ever had to give y'all anything, but we have. So watching this season, while we know what we're trying to do, we're trying to encourage Bentley to have a relationship with his dad. That's why we're doing this therapy thing, you know. That was Bentley's idea. We're encouraging that. We've never once told Bentley that he don't need to have a relationship with his dad. So we're over here encouraging it and doing everything that we can for it, while Ryan is over there calling us names. And while Larry, you are going to media outlets and saying that we're not letting y'all see Bentley. So yes, we have a right to be upset, and these are the reasons why. And maybe Dr. Drew and Nessa could have helped them navigate that. I don't know, because sometimes I really wonder what is the point of Dr. Drew even being there. The only thing that I really heard him say in part 2 was when he did validate Taylor's feelings, when he was like, he has every right to be upset. Jen then says, as she's crying, she says, I'm so done with the show. I'm done with everything. I'm done with it all. I am done with this show. And I'm like, yes, you are. You got that right. You're done with it. Regardless if you like don't want to be now or not, you're done with it. And I really think it's their own fault at this point. Andrea Smith, 499 says, Jen's delusional butt be like, you're jealous of Ryan because he's the better driver. He has a much prettier wife and has aged so much more graceful than you, Taylor. Insert sarcasm. You know, that is exactly. Like, I don't understand what it is. And I don't understand when people do that. Hey, LB, and hey to everyone in the chat. How are you doing? Thank you, Adam. So I had someone tell me that one time. Ironically enough, it was my older kid's mother. The day that my older kid's dad was getting married to his now ex-wife, when she come out of the house to get my little ones, we were kind of having an argument, and she said that. She said, you and Sean are just jealous of them. And I was like, what? Because like Ryan, he was in a position, their wedding was about, literally, they had a wedding almost identical to Ryan's. They went to this little thing in the middle of this big town by this waterfall, you know, and, you know, they were under the influence, I'm sure. And it was a very just shotgun wedding, which nothing wrong with shotguns weddings. I had one as well, but they were ha. And his parents paid for everything because they couldn't afford it. And he was not marrying her because he loved her at the time. It was just out of contentment. And I think he ended up finally loving her at one point. But, I mean, he had told plenty of people that and when she told me that, I'm like, hold up. Me and Sean have a house, 2 vehicles that we got on our own. Sean has had a job for like 8 years in the oil field. Why he can't keep a job. We take care of our children. We have a great relationship with our children, while he not so much. So when I hear people say that, when you really know there's nothing to be jealous of, I don't like it. I'm like, please don't do that. Like, at least if you're going to have an argument that can make sense, that can have some substance behind it, you know, because when someone that has nothing going for them and half the world dislikes them, when they or their parents say someone's jealous of them, it just doesn't make sense for me, you know. So carrying on. They bring out Mackenzie. So we're going to wrap that up with the Edwards family, but we're going to come back to talk about it. I'm going to try to do the recap, and then we'll come back and we'll really go into like our feelings on everything. So Mackenzie, they bring her out. She loves Florida. They talk about the fact that she calls her mom, and Dr. Drew asked her, you know, how often do you call your mom? And she said, anytime there's like a big life-changing event, or I just need to talk to her, I do. I will call her, leave her a message, or I will text her and say, Mom, I need you now. Can you please, like, call me? And I think that's that could probably be very, very helpful. While you know you're not going to hear back from your mom, I definitely think that could be a coping mechanism to help you when you're going through something so tragic and such an important loss. Is at least if you have that little outlet where you can at least text them or call their phone. And, you know, she gets to hear her mom's voicemail each time she calls. So Jessica said, I still email my mom. She died in 2008. So there you go. I'm sure it helps in some way, right? She cried. Yeah, she cried when talking about her mom because she wasn't expecting that to be brought up so quickly. They bring Josh out and they ask him, like, hey, how do you think that things are going? He says that he thinks things are going great. Dr. Drew brings up the cheating allegations. And Josh, he says, you know, there were allegations that you cheated. What do you got to say about that, Josh? And Josh says, I really don't remember nothing about it. I don't know. It's been so long ago. I really don't remember. Now, I was looking at Mackenzie's Twitter. Mackenzie actually tweeted that this was something that was agreed upon by everyone, that this would not be brought up. The girl that she alleged the cheating allegations was about, it was Josh and Mackenzie's cousin. Family, right? So Mackenzie tweeted that this was already agreed. It would not be brought up because she had family watching and this could affect her family. So when they bring that up, Josh says he really doesn't recall exactly what happened. Mackenzie is like looking over at the producers and she says, are we really doing this? Like, we weren't supposed to do this. And she says, I can't do this. I have family watching. She was like, this is going to get me in a lot of trouble. And they just don't care. MTV does not care. So she tries to talk on it. She's like, you know, I was going through a lot with my mom, and I felt that Josh could be more supportive. And I was going through his phone a lot, and I would see something that I didn't like, and I would run to the internet, and I would, you know, blast him on the internet. And then she looks at Josh, and she's like, I'm not going to speak for you. You know, I don't want to speak for you. You say whatever you got to say. And he goes, yeah, don't speak for me. She goes, oh, okay, yeah, go. And he goes, I have nothing to say. And she goes, you know, she's like, hold up. They're giving you the opportunity to speak, so why don't you speak? And he says, because I have nothing to say about this. Nothing at all. Next question. And she goes, no, Josh, like you always complain about the way that you're portrayed on the show. So why don't you like set it straight right here, right now? And he says, because I have nothing to say. And even at one point, he whispers, he says, Mackenzie, don't do this right now. And he goes, because I'm about to blow up. He's wearing a daggum microphone. You know, so Mackenzie was like, blow up then. Like, what are you going to blow up for? Like, what are you so mad about? And he, basically what it is for Josh, I feel like, is he feels like the person that he is portrayed as on the show is not who he really is, but they only want to point out the negative aspects of anything that he does or has going on or he says. So he talks about that. There was a point where him and Dr. Drew, like he really went off on Dr. Drew. Um, let me find it. What was it that they said? Oh, she told Josh, she said, you're overreacting. And Dr. Drew said, I would agree with that. Dr. Drew would agree that Josh was overreacting. So Josh is like, you would agree with what? And Dr. Drew said, what do you mean, Josh? What is it? He goes, you would agree? He goes, of course you would agree that I'm overreacting. He says, because ever since 16 and pregnant, all you want to do is jump down my throat. So of course you would. And Dr. Drew was like, that's all I want to do. And he goes, yes, that's all you do. Mackenzie is over there like, that is not true. That is not true. Don't say that. She's like more on Dr. Drew's team over here. You know, she's like, and then at one point Dr. Drew was speaking and Josh kind of interrupted him. And she says, he was speaking, Josh. Let him speak. And Josh says, I don't care if he was speaking or not. Like, I'm tired of this. So Dr. Drew finally asked Josh, what do you want to talk about then, Josh? And he said, I want to talk about what was on the show. Because keep in mind, the cheating situation was not on the show. When all that happened, they were not filming during that. So Josh is like, why can't we just talk about what was actually filmed? And he goes, oh, okay, you know, let's go. And Josh says, this is the way that I look at it. I love my kids. I love Mackenzie. I'll do anything for them. I'm going to be there for them regardless. And he says, I just feel like the cameras do not portray me for who I really am. And Mackenzie says that as well. She's like, this is not who Josh really is. So when we get in front of the cameras and he acts this way, it upsets me because this is not who he is. But this is all that we know because it's kind of all that we see of him. So Josh says, he says, I don't want to be in front of the cameras because of that. You know, he goes, I have no desire to be in front of the cameras when this is the way they're going to portray me. So that's that. I'm going to give more of my thoughts on that when we kind of circle back around after the whole recap. Because I kind of feel like maybe that's probably accurate. I feel like, while I feel like Josh may not be the best person in the world, I feel like he has he has a tendency to be like kind of mean. But I also feel like he probably can be good to Mackenzie as well. And we don't see that so much. So I kind of feel like he's probably being honest there with, they only portray him to be bad, you know. But this is TV too. They got to make it entertaining, right? So Kate comes out. They're talking to Kate, and they're talking about her writing to Carly. She says she started writing letters to Carly, just, you know, just whatever. Like, what's your favorite subject in school? Like, what have you been up to? Are you playing any sports? Just a way to shit with Carly. They were supposed to get, you know, a yearly visit, but that's not been the case. I think at one point they went like 2 or 3 years without getting that visit, and things have really been up in the air with Brandon and Teresa and Kate and Tyler. So she starts, you know, writing letters to Carly. And she says she sent, envelopes and stamps and paper in case Carly wants to write back. She also said that Carly and Nova FaceTime each other sometimes. That that's a new thing that has started happening, that they start FaceTiming each other, which I thought was really cool. I thought that's, Nova knows that Carly is her sister, so now they're going to be kind of like friends maybe, where they're FaceTime, hey girl, what's up? So I thought that was really cool. She also says that Nova finally asked the question, why did you give Carly up for adoption? Like, why did you give her to different parents? But you have me, so what happened there? She said they were sitting in the kitchen. It kind of shocked her that it happened, but she just explained the truth to Nova, that at the time they were young, they couldn't give Carly the life that she deserved, so they had to give her to the people that would. Um, One thing that I thought was really odd was when Caitlin says that. When Caitlin says, Nova finally asked me, why did we give Carly up for adoption? After she explained how she responded, Dr. Drew and Nessa didn't really say anything. They were like, oh. And then they just went on to the next question. They wasn't like as interested into that as I was. And I thought that was really weird. I was like, for this to be like a show about different people's struggles and the avenues that they went down once they become 16 and pregnant, she's like one of the only ones that dealt with the adoption situation, or she took that path. And this is a main thing. Like, this is a big thing. Like, you put a child up for adoption, then years later they have another child, and that child asks the question, why did y'all give that baby up? Like, why did you give my sister up for adoption? So I thought that should have been focused on a little bit more on, maybe she handled that correctly. Maybe Dr. Drew could have told her, I think you've done really well with the way that you responded, and maybe them talk about it a little bit more. Like, so when do you expect Veda to start asking questions? Do you feel like Nova has any, like, what her feelings are on the fact that she has a sister that you gave up for adoptions? I feel like it should have just been talked about a little bit more, and that it really wasn't. It was just kind of like skipped over a little bit for it to be something so big. They bring Tyler out, and Tyler did not write a letter to Carly. So Dr. Drew asked him, what's that about? Why didn't you write a letter to Carly? And he's very honest. He said, just to be honest with you, I don't trust my words. Like, I have to walk a fine line with Brandon and Teresa. Any information that I want to give to Carly has to go through Brandon and Teresa. And I think that if I was to write her a letter, maybe my delivery would not be what they needed it to be. And I just don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to not be able to be myself and to not say the things that I feel I need to say. But I know it has to go through Brandon and Teresa. So I just don't trust myself enough to write the letter. And it's nice that he can see that, that he is aware of that. At the same time, though, like Dr. Drew said, that it's kind of like a bad situation to be in, And Kate said the reason we feel like that, though, is because Brandon and Teresa, they hold it all in the palm of their hand. And one swift pull, they can yank it away from us, even the ability to a phone call, write a letter, they can take that all away if Tyler was to say one thing that was wrong. So Tyler would just rather not do it. And Dr. Drew said, if you could say one thing to Brandon and Teresa, what would you say? And he said, I thought this was a little, I was expecting something else. When Dr. Drew asked Tyler, if you could say one thing to Brandon and Teresa, what would it say? I was really expecting something more like, work with me a little bit. Like, I'm trying. I know you guys are her parent, but I want to be able to write her. I want to be able to have a relationship with her and not be scared that I'm going to lose the ability just if I say one thing wrong. So can you guys work with me on that? I thought it would be something like that, but he said if I could say one thing to Brandon and Teresa, it would just be thank you, and that I'm so grateful for them. I have nothing but, he is just so grateful for them. But you can tell, and he even acknowledged this. He said, I'm in two different pairs of shoes. I'm in the one pair of shoes where I'm forever grateful for what they've done for my daughter, for my child. And he says that. He says, I'm forever, for what they've done for my child. And then in the other hand, he feels some type of way that they are so like protective over Carly to the point to where even he, as her biological dad, feels like he can't just write her a letter because he may say something wrong and they may take it all away. So hopefully, if Brandon and Teresa see that, maybe it will give them some insight into how Tyler feels, and maybe they can work on that. Because I don't feel like Brandon and Teresa are bad people. So I feel like that might be something maybe that they would be willing to work on. I feel like as Carly gets older too, she's going to want to have more to do with them possibly, and there may not be anything they can do to stop it once she gets older. So okay, so um, then I was waiting for this. Christina and Gary is brought out. I was waiting for this. And this made me mad. Dr. Drew asked Christina what's her relationship like with Leah. And Christina says, it's great, it's wonderful. We have a great relationship, we have a great bond. My relationship with Leah is the same as my relationship with my other two daughters. There's no difference. And I'm thinking, that's amazing. That's great. That's the way that it should be. Because let me tell you something. If you live in a house where there is stepchildren and biological children, if you treat your biological children better than your stepchildren, there's going to be a problem within your house. There's going to be a problem with those stepchildren. Those stepchildren are going to feel less than, so I thought that's wonderful. And then Dr. Drew says, don't you see how that could be hurtful to Amber? That another woman is treats her daughter that way, or has that sort of bond with her daughter when she doesn't. And that made me so mad. And Christina says, you know what, my daughter, one of my kids, they have a stepmom, and I encourage that relationship because I think the more people that can love my daughter, the better. My daughter loves her. I think it's wonderful. And that's absolutely correct. You want, when you send your kids to their dad's house, if their dad is married, do you want to be concerned with, okay, once they have biological children, do you want to worry they might not be treating my baby equal? They may be treating their biological kids that they have together wonderful, and maybe mine not so much. So that's something you don't want to worry. Exactly. Dr. Drew was like, oh, and I was like, exactly. She is doing right by Leah. Who gives a crap about Amber's feelings at this point? Dr. Drew, just like Amber, is caring more about Amber's feelings than Leah. So, don't you understand how you having a great relationship and a great bond with Leah could be harmful to Amber? I mean, if I was Christina, I might would have said, I don't give a shit. I don't care, because my concern is not Amber over Leah's. Of course, I have concern with Amber. I am worried about Amber. I want to do right by Amber, but when it boils down to it, my main concern is Leah. And I'm going to do what is natural. And if it's natural for me and Leah to have this bond, to feel this way with each other, for me to feel like she's my daughter, and for her to feel like I'm her mom, nobody's going to tell me that we shouldn't do that we shouldn't be that way, that it's wrong. It's not wrong. If Amber would have been if Amber would have done better, she could have that bond with her daughter. And I know Dr. Drew brings this up. Do you think maybe Amber's depressed? Do you think this is her mental health playing into this? And Gary says maybe so. I'm sure that does have something to do with it. But still, we can't help that. Are they supposed to continue to, bend their lives and their relationships with Leah because of Amber? How long is this going to go on? Dr. Drew asked Christina, what was the thing that hurt you the worst with this whole situation with Amber and everything that has, come down lately? Because things were good and then they weren't. So what was the hardest for you? Christina's voice is shaking as she's talking, and she said, I think the worst thing was the cheating allegations. If that was the case, Amber could have came to me. If Gary tried to hit on her, Amber could have come to me and talked to me rather than going and putting it on social media or anything like that. But Christina did say, I don't believe it. I don't believe that Gary cheated. Me personally, I think he may have put his arm around her or something and maybe said, hey, don't tell Christina. I don't have to worry that it was anything. whatever the case may be, they're a family. So if he did, he needs to just go ahead and be a man and tell her, and not let that be something that Amber continues to hold on to and have power over them, because I'm sure Christina loves Gary enough that they could figure it out if something happened. I don't think Gary was trying to sleep with her or anything like that, though. Oh, Gary also talks about when things really first started downhill. So things were going great, Gary said. Gary said, all of a sudden, one day, Amber calls him and is like, so what's this I hear about you saying that you've been at my house like every day for a week? And then the comment about, I'm like your 16-year-old child. Like, what's up with that? And he said at first he didn't know, because he wasn't aware. He didn't remember what they had said. But then he saw the clip from the show and he was like, oh, that's what she meant. He said, but that was all that happened. According to Gary, he said that was it. She saw that, got mad, went on her Instagram account and started bashing us, just bashing us so hard. They're evil, they're liars, they're hypocritical, they're scum, they're homewreckers, they're this, they're that. And he said, you know, when she started doing that, people started like going back at her and saying like, you know, you're the bad one, you're the terrible one. Christina's the good one. Like Leah, thank God that Leah has someone like Christina. Be thankful for Christina. You'll never be the mom that Christina is. Like, people were saying comments like that, and Amber was seeing them. So then she got even more upset about it. And Gary said, you know, there was a time to where she stayed off social media, and she was doing much better. And I think she needs to stay off social media. If she don't want to see what people have to say, it's hard to read negative comments about yourself. It is. And I think, I mean, I don't know, Janelle and Amber are probably two people that I can think of that get the most hate. So why not just get off? Like, get off, leave it alone for a while. But exactly, Ella, the truth does hurt. And if you want to go and attack someone publicly, then you're going to get some comments back from people that disagree with you. Also, Gary makes a statement. He says that maybe Amber's mental health, you know, is an issue. It will probably always be an issue. But how do you allow someone back into your house that has hurt you like that has tried to ruin your marriage? And he said snake. He was like, it's like, would you let a snake in your house knowing that the snake has just hurt you? And he's like, I'm not calling Amber a snake, but that's just like my point. Like, someone that has already come into your house and hurt you after you've done everything for them, would you let them back into your home? No. No, you wouldn't. Especially when they tried to ruin your marriage and they have treated your child that way. No, I don't think so. So I don't think anybody can tell Gary that he has to do more. He's done enough in my book. Like, at some point, you just gotta shut it down and say, you're not affecting my life anymore. And Christina even said, if it was up to Leah, I think she would throw the towel in. Basically, they're the two that continues to push her to try to have a relationship with her mom. That if it was up to her, she was just throwing the towel. Dr. Drew did ask Christina, are you willing to continue, though, to continue to try to work through this, you know? And she said yes, that she was. If I was Christina, I'd be like, nope, I'm done. But Christina was like, yes, I'm willing to keep working at this, because I want Leah to have what's best for Leah, whatever that may be. And if Leah, you know, whatever, like, she's like, I'll continue working on this. And I think they will continue trying to encourage Leah to work on that relationship. But at some point, when is enough, you know? Let's see. Oh, they bring all the dads out. So I'm going to wrap up kind of the end, and then we'll just go over, I'll read comments, and we'll just talk about the whole thing. So at the end, they bring up all the dads, and they're going to tell horror stories about their dad experiences with Zach, because Zach is going to be a new dad. Him and Cheyenne are having a baby. So they're telling horror stories. I think Corey's was the funniest, maybe. Corey said he was at the beach. He was a new dad to Ryder. He did not pack diapers or wipes because he did not think that he would need them. So they're at the beach, and Ryder has a blowout. He takes Ryder. At first, he didn't know what to do. Ryder has a blowout. He's like, I didn't bring no wipes. I didn't bring no diapers. What do I do? So he's sitting there in a panic, and then he's like, hello, I have all this water in front of me. So he takes Ryder out into the water, dip, 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 rub, 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 all clean, and acts like it never happened. Taylor's incident was with Jade. They were at a restaurant eating crawfish, Macy and Jade, and they gave Jade a little crawfish. And on the way home, she had a blowout all over her diaper, into the seat, everywhere, up to her neck. And he said when we got home, we had to pressure wash baby and vehicle. Um, oh, Gary's was really ugh. So Gary said he comes home from work one day and Leah is crawling around on the floor, and she actually crawls up to the kitty litter and starts eating it, and it had um, kitty pee and poop in it. Or did they pee in the litter or just poop? He said it had like stuff in it, so he had to pick her up and run her to the faucet and like rinse her mouth out. What else was it? Oh, Tyler said that on one incident he was holding, I think he said Nova up in the air, playing, and that she spit up right in his mouth. That's happened to me before. So I thought it was very funny that they were all telling their little dad blowout moments or like horror stories. And then Dr. Drew asked Zach, does this scare you? And Zach's like, not really, because like I have a lot of family. I've been around babies, so I'm used to it already. So, I know what's coming. They then they welcome Ashley Siren. She is going to be replacing Chelsea from Teen Mom 2. And she gives a little sneak peek into the Teen Mom 2 trailer. And it shows Barr proposing to her, and her saying yes, of course. I'm eager for Teen Mom 2 to come on, but I'm not eager for Teen Mom OG to go off. We do know that this was the last time that Ryan and his family will be on the show as far as the full season. The next time they come on Teen Mom OG, they're only going to be there for like the first or second episode. So after that, they're done. Dunzo. We will see their reaction to the reunion on the next one. So next up, Teen Mom 2, I'll be covering that as well. Now let's just talk about our feelings. I think on part 2, you guys, the main thing that made me mad was the comment that Dr. Drew made to Christina. To me, it just told me that, FYI, the chicken and broccoli I made for lunch was delicious, but the broccoli is making me want to poop. But I don't want to use a bathroom with the homeowner being here. Hashtag dilemma. Cece, should I have read that out loud or no? That's hilarious. Got peed on many times changing my son's diaper. Hundreds. I have 4 children, and me and Sean have been peed on everywhere. Face, ear, nose, you know what I'm saying? Like, everywhere. Matt said Dr. Drew should have asked how many cast members have had blowouts as adults. That would have been a good one. My daughter was using her play kitchen set spatulas, sifting through the kitty litter one time like a sandbox, and I freaked out. She was only 2 or 3. That is hilarious. Baseball Mama says, I will not watch Ashley. Baseball Mama, do you want to tell us why? What? You don't have to. I'm just curious. There's been times throughout the show that I didn't care for Ashley. Like when she done that whole big old scene at the reunion, that really set the wrong way with me. Even the way she acted after that, going on the lives, like threatening girls, like, come on. I didn't like it. But there's also times I see her where I do like her. Because I think one thing about Ashley that you just can't deny, I feel like she's a good mom. Her daughter, Holly, is so cute. She's so smart. But there's definitely been times where with Ashley, I think it depends on the moment. Like, on what part we're seeing. I remember there was this one incident where her and Barr were broken up, and she was outside and he had come to like talk, and she's like twerking, and she was like, I'll do whatever I want to do with whoever I want to do. And I was like, girl, don't do that. Your daughter will one day see that. Please have a little bit of class about yourself. Like, if the cameras weren't there and you want to say that to Barr, whatever. But you are twerking and basically saying, whoever I want to, and it don't matter what you think. And to your baby daddy. And now your daughter may one day see this. Like, no. That was one of the times I didn't really care too much for. But there's also been times that I do. So, oh, is that word okay to use? I don't know. Where did his eyebrows come from? The tats, the tattoos, that's another thing, you guys. Face tattoos, I feel like you gotta be like a, face tattoos don't work well for me, except on certain type of people. Like there's, some people can pull off face tats, some people not so much. There's a room to change in all people. I have hope for. Yes, Ryan might take a decade or two, slim chance. Yes. Um, I just can't get over the Edwards. Oh my God. I can't either. Like, I think the Edwards family needs to sit down and watch, like, from beginning to end. Like, this is what Macy went through. You know, this is all that Macy went through. Show, you know, season 1 where she was at home studying, in school, studying. And Ryan would come home from hanging with friends and she would be like, can you please get him? I'm trying to study. And he would be like, no, I'm not getting him. So then she would have to like get him and hold him while she done her work. And she's been through a lot, you guys. Like, she's done a lot. So, and Ryan just can't be bothered. Ryan just can't be bothered. And it's like, no, that's not the way that it is. Not at all. Like, they have to understand that if they're going to be upset with anybody about the reason this is the situation at the moment, they need to be upset with their own son. But they are too concerned with causing him to relapse. It's like, we can't say nothing to Ryan because we don't want to be the reason he relapsed. Let me tell you something. I don't like when people say that. I once had this friend, well, really we weren't friends. I thought we were friends, but we weren't. And there was a situation that happened, and she said that, like, oh, they're going to be the reason I relapse. No. Your ability to remain sober lies on you, darling. If you feel like you are going to relapse, maybe reach out to, like, NA. You know, if you have a sponsor that you deal with, maybe reach out to your sponsor. But don't blame you. No, I don't like that, because once again, it is the addict refusing to take accountability. You know, they're throwing it off on someone else. Meow Nell said, they'll be my reason for relapse. Hey, I'm preaching something here, Meow. So true, though. Like, my goodness. Ryan need a little trim on the top. He needs a big trim on the top. He need to just cut it all off. Shar said, Shar, you emailed me the other day, and did I respond? I can't remember, because I remember thinking, I read it, and I was like, I got to respond to Shar, but I don't think I did. I don't think Jen is aware of what has been going on. I think that Larry and Ryan keep conversations away from her. I believe Larry knows all. I believe Larry manipulates Jen. I think you're right. I think you're right there. First off, I do want to point out that after Taylor stormed off, Larry said, and do you guys not think that Taylor can be manipulating him? After hearing that mouth, I barely caught it, and I was like, whoa, did he just say what I thought he said? And I rewound it. But after Taylor stomped off, Larry said, and do you guys not think that Taylor could be manipulating him with that mouth? But I think you're right, because, yeah, let me know, Shar. I'll have to go back and find it, because I was like, I couldn't remember if I did or not, but I did read it. So when Jen sat Larry down, and they were talking about him talking to the media outlet, she was like, I don't think that's the right thing to do. He really tried to just like act like it was no big deal. You know, she was like, what did you say? And he was like, I just said the truth. You know, they call and they ask questions, and I'm just too nice to tell them it's none of their business. Bull. You mean to tell me after all these years, all of a sudden, when they're calling, now you're just too nice, you have to talk to them? These people, this ain't the first time they called you. When Ryan was driving and asleep, I'm sure they were calling you to get some sort of statement, and you had nothing to say, right? All the times that Ryan was being arrested for not paying his bar tab, or is Ryan in rehab? Sources are saying Ryan's in rehab, and they're calling you, Larry, to say, is Ryan in rehab? Hey, what's up with this clip of Ryan driving while he's asleep? Hey, what's up with Ryan being arrested for not paying his bar tab? Nothing to say. Nothing to say. I've got nothing to say. No comment. But now, all of a sudden, you're just too nice to tell him you got nothing to say. I don't believe that. Not at all. So I feel like that was like I don't know, like that was him trying to manipulate it. Feel like that was Larry trying to manipulate us, and Larry trying to manipulate Jen. I feel like Jen knew better. I feel like even Jen was like, so Jen was like, well, just don't let it happen again. He's like, okay, I won't let it happen again. But, but then he did. Because I remember when that happened, because I covered it. I actually done a video, about Larry's interview. And then like a week later, he done another one. Since then, he's done like 3 more, I think. So when Jen said, I think it would be best if we just say no comment. Because we don't want to ruffle Macy's feathers. I just think it would be best if we just, say no comment. Okay, that's what I'll do. That's what I'll do. But then he didn't. So he had no intentions on listening to Jen. Gary really stepped up in the beginning. Absolutely, B family. One thing you have to give it to Gary that he absolutely did step up. I believe that Jen is very naive. I think she probably is too. If he has triggers, he really needs to go to therapy to get over them. You don't hold people hostage with them and expect everyone to walk on eggshells. Aussie, thank you for saying that, because someone actually commented on one of my videos that was a recovering addict, and that's what they said. They said, sometimes as an addict, a lot of things can be your triggers, but you can't go through life staying inside your house and away from everybody with your phone off, scared that you're going to be triggered. You work on overcoming those triggers, or you work on you work on ways to handle them if you get triggered. So I think it's just bull for him to say they're a trigger for me, so I can't ever be around them or talk to them. And it's a trigger for me to see my mom cry, so mom, don't ever cry in front of me. It's a trigger for me for anyone to hold me accountable, so don't do it. Don't do it. You cannot hold me accountable because it's a trigger. Jail is a trigger for me. I cannot go to jail. It's a trigger. If I go to jail, I'm going to relapse. It's a trigger, judge. A judge is going to be like, I don't give a what a trigger is for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just don't... And, I don't want to be insensitive to anyone that struggles with addiction. I know addiction. I've always believed that addiction is a disease. I've always believed that, addiction's a hard thing to overcome. I have family members, and I've seen the struggle. An addict is not a bad person. The addiction can make them do things that normally they would not do. But I've seen some of the best people that I know struggle with addiction. And it's very sad. It's very sad. I was also boxing for 3 years and was fully aware and productive. That boy is on fentanyl, allegedly. I'm trying to read Classy Mom's comment. Where's it at? I agree. I was there for a while, understood the fight or flight, because I can go back like yesterday just trying to keep my child from dying. Yes. I've taken Suboxone for like 6 years now, and I don't look like that. Yeah, that was something that a lot of people were thinking, like maybe Ryan is on, what are those called, like maintenance drugs or something? Or what is something like methadone, Subutex, Suboxone? What is that actually called? Is it called maintenance medication? Because people were speculating that maybe he was on something like that, but a lot of people have left comments saying like, hey, no, I'm on that, and they don't do that to you. They can overcome it. That's what they need to focus on. You can beat it. Absolutely. Many times triggers are inbred to the memory faculty of your brain. You can't make them go away, so then you have to either separate from them or work with therapy to reprogram. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, say for instance, like with Mama June, I would have to imagine Mama June and Gino could be triggers for each other. I mean, how could they not be? How could Mama June and Gino not be triggers for each other? But they are learning a way to live together as boyfriend and girlfriend still, without allowing each other to be a trigger for each other. So they're like learning a way to manage it somehow. Or, I don't know. Wouldn't you assume that they would be triggers for each other, since they done so many drugs together and it was them? Like, I don't know. Maybe I have a misunderstanding of what a trigger is, or when someone is on maintenance meds and still dip in their drug of choice, they look washed out like that, or could be too high of a dose. Okay, that's a good, yeah, I agree with that. Um, when someone is on Suboxone, no one would know you act normal unless your dose is too high. Methadone will mess you up like heroin. Oh, you get stoned on higher doses of methadone. That's why they shouldn't be fired, because it's an epidemic. That's why they shouldn't have been fired, because it's an epidemic. My husband was on methadone for years. They just up your dose over and over. Those docs don't care to actually help you. And when you take too much, it makes you duck out and really just makes you loaded. Oh, Kayla, I hope your husband is doing better now. Those meds are only meant to suppress withdrawals for a few weeks tops and then wean off. Unfortunately, like me, many people stay on them for years. He needed more than a year, but he's alive. Methadone is horrible. I was on it for 12 years. We're a number, not a patient. Wow. 12 years. I got so high when I did methadone. I did it once. I didn't want to get high. I wanted to function, not be high. Jen and Larry's enablement. Yeah, I'm just, thank you. He's on Suboxone and doing so good. That's awesome. That's awesome that he's doing better. Methadone clinics never let you leave. My friend had to cold turkey after years of begging to be weaned off. Really? So even if you're like, hey, I want to be weaned off so I can hopefully one day be normal and not have to rely on medication, they're like, no. Ryan looks like my ex on methadone. He really does. Note, when you ask your doctor to go up on methadone, they'll do it. At least the doctors I've experienced with. Oh, wow. It's the government's drug deal, in my opinion. I'm now on Suboxone. Is the perfect match for me. Been clean for 3.5 years. Congratulations. A person with addiction carries more shame and self-loathing than anyone could ever try to place upon them. Macy would easily have a third party, as she has had, to communicate with Ryan if he tried. Yeah, yeah. Betty Boop, thank you so much for the super sticker. Hey, channel members, I did add a few more little like emojis and stuff that y'all can use. There's like some Honey Boo Boo emojis, and I have one that was a Mama June, but it was too big, so I'm gonna have to get that resized. I don't know how you use the emojis. I think you can put in B, like BEE, and it may, shoot, let me see if I can bring this one up. I don't know how to use the super stickers. I'm trying to use one, I just don't know. Oh, here they are. Here they are. There we go. Yeah, there we go. There's some of the super stickers. I added a few more last night. So, yeah, the Honey Boo Boo. I have a Honey Boo Boo and blowing kisses. But yeah, well, how did you guys feel about the reunion? Which reunion upset you the most? Watching part 1 or part 2? My hack doctor keeps trying to up my dosage of Suboxone every time. I had to say no and take it upon myself to wean off. Many doctors are greedy. That's upsetting to know, you know, because you know I know people that like really had like pain problems and would go to the doctor and couldn't get pain meds because the doctors were so scared. They'd be like, "Oh, we're not writing pain medication because there's like a epidemic going on right now with people, an opioid epidemic right now, so we're not writing pain medication." I'm talking about people that really needed it, which I always believe that doctors were not informing people the way that they should when writing narcotic medication, because, and I'm not a doctor, and you know, if I say something that's maybe not entirely the case, I'm just speaking from my experience myself with like family members and friends. So if I do say something that's maybe not, you can leave it in the comment section. Please don't tell me not to spread misinformation, because that's definitely not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to spread misinformation, but I have witnessed people with actual pain try to go to the doctor and the doctor tell them, I'm not writing you anything for pain, because so many people have abused it, you know. But then you have, I feel like you have people that are trying to get the medication just to get high, and they can go to any doctor they want, and that doctor will write them whatever they want. But then the people that actually need it because something's wrong, they can't get it. But I also feel like doctors should have explained things. I mean, I know this lady, she's older, she had really bad pain and was put on hydrocodone for several years. Never did she know that her body was going to become immune to it until she realized it, you know, until it was days where like she wasn't taking it and she got extremely sick. And then it's so unfair. Like, it's unfair for someone that's just trying to live a life without being in pain, and all of a sudden they become an addict. It doesn't, you know, so it sucks. My dad had back surgery. They sent him home with Tylenol 3. See, like something like that, you probably need back surgery? Back surgery? Like, but yeah. Actually, I just turned 10 years sober in February. I forgot. That's awesome, Matt. That's awesome. Let's see. It saved my best friend's life, and he ended up with heart damage from methadone. They still wouldn't wean him, and he jumped and got a caring doctor, and is a good guy. I believe the younger, the harder the triggers of people, places, and things. Even the CVS triggered him because behind it was a common purchase place. Oh, wow. See, that's what I would, classy mom, you can probably tell me more about this, but so people would be triggers as well, right? People, so like Mama June and Gino could possibly be a trigger for each other, wouldn't you think? They never told my Nana that she would become dependent on hydrocodone in her older years, and it was a complete shock to my papa with how her body reacted when she went off of it. Yes, my grandpa has been going to pain management for probably 15 years, and I'm talking about he was on hydrocodone, he was on morphine pills, he was on Percocet. He had a pharmacy at his house, but he had really bad. He had a completely messed up back. He had a messed up hip. You know, his knees were bad. So he was on so much medication. And then when the law started changing in regards to doctors writing pain meds, and it become harder, you know, doctors didn't want to write it because doctors were getting in trouble. They literally cut his medication down so much to where he got extremely sick, and had to go through withdrawals. He still gets to take a little bit, but they cut him down dramatically. So, and he didn't know, like he didn't know, you know. What is that, Kelly? I just had to deal with the pain. What is, oh, um, why do you, why do you think Macy thinks it's okay to criticize? Why do you think Mac thinks it's okay to criticize Macy, even though Ryan doesn't do anything to help Bentley deal with the fact of his dad's addiction? Deal with the fact that his dad's, yeah, I don't know why Mackenzie would ever think she had the right to criticize Macy. I tell everyone, you have to change your people, places, and things. We moved an hour and a half away, and my husband has been sober for 8 years. My friend died when he was only 46 last month from overdosing with alcohol and opioids. I don't think if it was, I don't think it was on purpose, but it broke my heart. Oh my goodness, yeah, I bet so. It's crazy how many people deal with addiction. Like, probably over half, almost everyone in here is dealing with addiction in some way, either with yourself, your spouse, or your child, you know, or your grandparents or something like that. It's so crazy. When I was 19 to 21, they threw every med at me for my back pain. Eventually, I was getting 90 a month. Then they found out I actually needed back surgery, and suddenly they took all the meds. Wow. Constance. What did Constance say? Keep going. I know you can do this. Yes. I don't know. Oh, certain movie scenes can trigger you. Wow. That is, honestly, like, I hope the best for Amber, Ryan. As people, like, we get frustrated to see, like, it's been all this time and they're still, like, on this same. I think if we weren't looking at things of how their addiction or their mental health is affecting other people that's doing nothing wrong, other people that is living life the best that they can, raising their kids, trying to do right, I feel like I'd be a little bit more sympathetic to Ryan with his addiction. Maybe think more along the lines of, I hope he gets better. And I do hope he gets better. But I focus more on how it's affected Macy and Taylor and Bentley, because they are there and they have to deal with this situation because Ryan, and not even just that Ryan's an addict, but Ryan is what he is, man. Ryan was already difficult to deal with, and then you throw in the addiction, which makes him, seems to me, it makes him kind of meaner. Makes him say really mean things. But I definitely hope, it's been all these years, I hope Amber gets to a place to where she can think about Leah and not Amber, because it's never going to get better if Amber is so caught up on Amber. Like, if Amber could actually put Leah first, then she would be happy to have Christina. She would be like, thank God we have Christina here, because if not, my poor daughter could be living in a home where she did not feel equal, where she felt like her half siblings or step siblings are superior to her, like, or they mean more to her. Yeah, that's true. He said mean things way before he got on dope. He's a spoiled brat. I agree. Thinking back, there were things that I felt like, wow, he's really mean on drugs. But really, 16 and pregnant, he said some really mean things as well. In my opinion, Amber is showing many of the signs that she is using again. JJ, 499. I agree, and something that I noticed, and last week when we talked about this and Wildflower Tea was on, she pointed this out to me. So when they brought Amber on and they played her scene, she was looking like this. She was like this. And Dr. Drew said, Amber, what do you have to say about that? And she goes, I have nothing to say. And he goes, Amber, you look like you're struggling a little bit. Are you okay? And she starts talking about addiction. She goes, like, I feel like, when people are dealing with addiction, so I thought it was really, Wildflower pointed this out to me, but I thought it was really, was Dr. Drew looking at her where it appeared that she was asleep or having a hard time, and was he saying, like, hey, it looks like you're struggling right now? And then the fact that she immediately went into addiction, is that a sign to us that maybe she's struggling again? I don't know. Ryan has to want better for himself. No one can change him but Ryan himself. He needs to stop being enabled by everyone in his immediate life. Absolutely, Lauren Elizabeth. I agree wholeheartedly. I don't think Ryan's going to want anything different than what he gets right now. Because right now, Ryan has it the best that he could ever have it. He don't have to talk to Macy. He does not have to be held accountable by his wife, by his parents, because if they try to hold him accountable, he yells, you guys are going to be the reason I relapse. This is triggering for me. And then they just say, oh, no, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. We didn't mean it. So right now he has it the best he will have it, unless he gets to a point to where he decides this is not how it should be. I should have a better relationship with my son Bentley. And if that means I got to go out of my comfort zone a little bit and I have to work on Macy being a trigger, then I'll do just that. Every one of us should be able to be held accountable. Every one of us. When anyone says, like, that they can't be held accountable for something because it's triggering or whatever, it's upsetting, like, no, that's not fair. I also think when someone does something and they acknowledge it and they say, I know I done this, I know I messed up, and I'm going to change, If Ryan was to say, I know it's not been great all these years. I know I have been not what I should have been for Bentley. I've been selfish. I've used my addiction as a way to escape accountability for anything, and I don't want to do that anymore. You know, I want to do right. I want to have a relationship with my son, and I want to, when I make a mistake, I want my family to be able to be I want my family to be able to hold me accountable moving forward. That is what I want. That would be great. Like, that could actually be a pathway for change for him and his family. But I don't know if that's going to happen. Conflict won't cease just because you're a recovering addict. So you got to learn how to adapt. Exactly. Those benzos are no joke either, and withdrawals is dangerous. He has to learn how to have a healthy way of having conflict resolution. Exactly. Aussie. I wish I could put y'all's comments up on the screen because they're so good. Y'all's comments are so good. Ryan is using Bentley because he is going to see. I feel bad for Bentley because he is going to see what Ryan and his parents have said one day. Yeah, Ryan is using his addiction and triggers as an excuse for his behavior. His parents need to walk away from him so he can grow up. I absolutely. So I know this guy who was in my family. He struggled with addiction. And, you know, the whole family was there and there and there and there and there until we couldn't be there anymore. Have a good day, Schizo. Hope you enjoyed your lunch, hanging out with us. He was there until, you know, and things just kept happening. It got to the point to where people had to walk away. And, you know, didn't mean we didn't love our family member. We just had to walk away. And our family member had it rough for a while, you know. If Bentley hasn't seen it already, he is old enough to look stuff up. One thing, rest assured, is Bentley has probably heard about how the reunion went. And you know what I hope we see? And, you know, I don't know, I'm always like kind of touchy with this. If Bentley is okay with sharing his feelings on this reunion, on maybe what he heard about it or if he saw it, I personally would just like to see his feelings on how he feels about that. I would imagine it's got to be mixed emotions. You know, regardless of how messed up your parent is, things still hurt you in regards to them. So I'm going to have to say that this is going to be hurtful to Bentley, but also make him feel like he has family that has his back. You know, Dr. Drew was like, y'all are not putting Bentley first. Y'all are not putting Bentley first. And, you know, I don't think they were intentionally not trying to put Bentley first. I think the reason Taylor is so mad is because Bentley is first to him. Like, Bentley is a priority to him, and he's sick of the fact that he's not a priority to Ryan. And because Taylor is human, he let his emotions overcome himself for a while, and he did act out in a way that probably wasn't the best for Bentley. You know, absolutely. And that's unfortunate. It would have been great if they could have sat down and they could have had that conversation. But mind you, Taylor was not the first one to buck up. That was Larry. Larry was the first one to scoot up, and then Larry was the first one to stand up. So, you know, also Ryan killed cats, which really mean Ryan killed cats. I think I did hear I did hear that there were some reports that Ryan had killed cats back in the day. Not when he was a kid, but like teenager or something. As a recovering addict that just celebrated 8 years recovery, I just really wish Jen and Larry and Mac would go to family recovery therapy so they could learn how badly they're hurting Ryan. Linda, thank you, Linda, for saying that, because I don't think they do anything, and they need to. They're not helping. They're not helping. I heard physically more dangerous to the body, but both of the symptoms are horrific. C.S. Johnson, yes, Ryan is their only child. So, drugs don't discriminate. Lawyers, judges, doctors, etc. are addicts too. You're exactly right, B family, because there was a doctor where I live, very well-known doctor for years, who got called. He was an addict. He went to rehab. He had to take time off from work, go to rehab. It was kept very hush-hush. I only found out about it because my mom knew somebody that worked there, and that, you know, it got around the office, and my mom somehow found out through somebody, and she told me. But a doctor addicted to pain meds. Andrea, $4.99. Thank you so much, you guys. I'm gonna try to wrap it up. Oh wow, we're well over an hour. Yeah, we're about an hour and 30 minutes. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Any last thoughts on this reunion? Um, I'll read a few more comments, then we're going to wrap it up. I got a few more videos I need to record. I also need to edit a video that I done about Farrah, Abraham, and Sophia. Yeah. What else? David Eason was busted on a TikTok live yesterday. Inslee actually like called him out. They were outside with the chickens, and she was like, please don't kill the chickens like you did yesterday. Yesterday you shot the chickens, or you shot some of the baby chicks yesterday. Please don't do that today, or I'm going to be mad at you. And so I'm going to do a video covering that. Keep your eyes peeled. It may not be up till tomorrow, but I will be doing that. Yeah, any last thoughts? I wish Ryan's parents would tell him how fortunate he is for having his child's mother that is really passive on things some women would not be. 100%. Ryan does not understand how lucky he is. Killing animals like cats is a sign of serial killer in the making. That's what experts in the field say. Wow, that's scary to think about. I forgot to type my last super chat, so here's another $4.99. But I wanted to know if anyone has ever seen Jen get that upset on the show before. $4.99. No, I have not. And I did see one situation where Macy did say, things have gotten bad when Jen uses a cuss word. Because there was one other time that Jen did say a cuss word, but it wasn't to the point that she did on the reunion. But she said, like, I'm tired of this, or something. And Macy said, oh, wow, it's serious when Jen cusses, because she rarely cusses. So, no, I think this was pretty bad. Did y'all hear Mackenzie say on her Instagram story yesterday that they did let Josh talk but didn't air it on purpose? Hold on, Melissa, I saw something that really upsets me. She actually said that they done a segment with her dad where he talked about what life has been like since losing Angie. And it was a very emotional segment, and they didn't play it. Instead, they decided to ask questions that Mackenzie openly told them, hey, we can't talk about this. Please don't bring this up. I have family members watching. This has affected my family. Like, can we please not? And they agreed. It would have been one thing if they would have said, no, that's not how this works. Everything about your life is up for discussion because you signed that contract. But they're snakes. They're sneaky little snakes because they agree. They're like, okay, we're not going to ask you about it. We're not going to talk about it. And then when they get you on camera, they ask you about it. So I'm bothered that rather than keeping their word, they didn't, and they asked something that possibly could have caused problems between Mackenzie and her family, Mackenzie and Josh, when they could have aired that segment of Mackenzie's dad. Like, why not? MTV is shady. I agree. Like, honestly, the way things have been going lately, I've been getting so mad that if it wasn't for me covering it, I've always said I'll always watch Teen Mom. Like, I'll always watch the show because I've enjoyed it. I watched it for 10 years. But here lately, it's gotten to the point to where I'm upset with it, and I don't know if I want to keep supporting it.
You still on live?
Yeah.
Dad's truck broke down.
Did it?
Yeah.
His big truck?
Went up there, we had to take the drive shaft off, take it over to Manny Gear and Axle, and drop it off over there, and they're going to start working on it.
Is he here?
Yeah, he's
Dad's
here.
here?
Yeah, he's in the living room. They're going to start working on one.
Okay. Well, I was just going to wrap it up and get off, so I'll be there in just a second.
Okay. I'm going to start working on schoolwork, but
okay,
if he has to pick it up,
I can bring him
later, because I have a meeting with my teacher, with my advisor.
Okay. Jen and Larry are literally living Ryan to death at this point. It's also painfully obvious that they don't know the entire truth about the things Ryan has done or said. They are so blind. Absolutely. My husband is very country. We live in northern Louisiana. We are country, but someone actually commented on one of my videos and said that I am faking my accent. No, actually, it wasn't even a video. It was a community tab that I wrote. Somebody was like, it's did, not done. You're clearly faking your accent. And I'm like, my mom and daddy watch me sometimes. Like, if I fake my accent, I would probably be called out by my parents or somebody, or Sean, or my kids. They'd be like, why are you talking like that, Mama? No, it's just how we talk, you guys. And I'm not stupid. Like, I graduated early. I've always done well in school. I know the correct way to speak. It's just not comfortable for me. Like, I speak the way that I speak because it's what rolls off my rolls out easily. Because the way that I was raised, I live in the country, and this is how I talk. But yeah, anytime I say done and not did, there's at least that one person that's like, can you please say did and not done? And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, I try to be very cautious to make sure I'm saying the right names. That if I had to make sure I spoke proper English every video, half my videos would be scrapped. So is what it is. I don't know why we should feel ashamed to speak the way that we do. I feel like that's kind of, honestly, like, it's just who I am. And I feel like when someone shames me for the way that I speak, I almost feel like, I don't know, I'm not going to say it, but, country people are not uneducated. Exactly. People like to feel like we are. But I'm like, I would never go to someone of a different race or a different background and say they sound dumb, because I feel like that would be completely inappropriate, So I think that it's not okay to do to others, but whatever. So yeah, anyways, as an Australian, I find your accent adorable. Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to get off. My dad is here. I was going to do some more work, but I'm going to visit with him. Your voice is easy to listen to, and I love having your videos playing just even in the background when busy, just so easily. Thank you. That really helps. That really does help. But I will be doing the video about David. It was on TikTok. I'll try to find the clip and post it, but I will be making that video soon. Really, if you were to translate Spanish verbs the way Leslie uses done and other verbs, is more grammatically correct. Oh, I didn't know that. Thank you, Classy Mom, for putting that out there. All right, I will see everyone later. Thank you all for hopping on. If you're watching this on replay, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. We have 347 people watching, and we have 163 thumbs up. So on your way out, guys, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. Share this video if you would like. Leave your thoughts. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye, everyone.